करते हैं, महापुरुषों को सत्कार करते हैं, अपने माता पिता की वंदना करते हैं। इस कार्य करने से घर के अंदर खुशहाली रहती है।
बहुत ही ज़्यादा मज़ा आ रहा है। जैसे कि आज गंगा जी का जन्म हुआ है और आज के दिन जैसे कि बहुत सारे लोग आए यहाँ पे, बहुत सारे मतलब सबके दिल में ऐसी खुशी है जैसे कि मतलब हर साल एक नया हो।
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks and Zaka Jacob. Rahul Gandhi is on a visit to the United States. Speaking at the University of California, Santa Cruz, Rahul Gandhi said that minorities and Dalits are feeling unsafe in India, particularly in the last 9 years. He also said that the new parliament, which was inaugurated this past weekend, was simply a distraction and that the government was running away from real issues. The government is hit back with 2 counts. One, that Rahul is defaming India while he's on foreign soil, and whatever differences there might exist, it has to be sorted out here in India. Also, they are saying that there is no merit in his arguments about minorities or Dalits feeling unsafe, citing statistics that no minorities have been discriminated in government welfare schemes. So is Rahul Gandhi's opposition justified, or is it defamatory to the entire country? That's what we'll debate in a moment here on Brass Tacks. But first, the story of what he said and how the BJP has reacted to it.
Back in March, during his visit to London, Rahul Gandhi sparked a political firestorm after he claimed that Indian democracy was under threat, accusing the BJP of capturing India's institutions and muzzling dissent. Weeks later, in the United States, Rahul has continued the offensive. Speaking at an event in California, Rahul Gandhi criticized the inauguration of the new parliament building and the installation of the Sengol, calling them BJP-manufactured distractions from the real issues affecting the nation.
You know, I think the Parliament House, these are distractions. The real issues in India are unemployment, price rise, spread of anger and hatred. BJP can't really discuss them, so then they have to do the whole scepter thing, you know, lying down and doing all that.
Rahul Gandhi also accused the BJP of spreading hatred in the country, accusing the government of targeting Muslims, Sikhs, Christians and Dalits.
What is happening, for example, to the Muslim community in India today happened to the Dalit community in the 80s. We have to challenge it, we have to fight it.
Rahul Gandhi once again accused the centre of muzzling the opposition and misusing central agencies to crush dissent.
Agencies are used on people. So we also are finding that in some way it had become quite difficult to act politically.
The BJP was quick to hit back at the Congress leader, accusing him of insulting India on foreign soil.
विदेश में जाकर क्या पाना चाहते हैं? इस प्रायोजित कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत वो क्या प्राप्त करने गए हैं? क्या देश के ऊपर कीचड़ उछालना ही उनका एक काम रह गया है?
पहले यूके में जाकर भारत में हस्तक्षेप की मांग करना और आज यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में दुष्प्रचार फैलाना, ये वही राहुल गांधी है जो मोदी विरोध करते करते आज नए पार्लियामेंट का भी विरोध करने लगे।
The Congress party defended Rahul Gandhi's remarks, crediting him for painting the real picture of India under 9 years of the Modi government.
I don't think there's a worse statement than saying that I'm not proud to be an Indian, and that's what Narendra Modi said.
The SCs, the STs, the backwards, the minorities, they all are feeling like second-grade citizens in the country.
Rahul Gandhi once again finds himself in the middle of a political firestorm, launching another offensive from abroad. While the victory in Karnataka has given a much-needed boost to the Congress charge against the Modi government, will this attack backfire on the Congress? Is this dissent or denigration from the former Congress president?
All right, full panel joining us on the talking point number 1 here on Brass Tacks. Shazia Ilmi is National Spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Ajay Kumar, National Spokesperson of the Congress Party, Pawan Verma, author and former diplomat, Abhijit Majumdar is Consulting Editor with First Post. Shazia Ilmi, what Rahul Gandhi is saying is that there is evidence to show that attacks on minorities, attacks on SC, STs have increased in the last 9 years of the Modi government. He's saying that before 2014, there were no instances of people being killed in the name of cow protection and Gau Mata. But there are now instances of lynching of people, of minorities, Dalits, etc. What is your response?
I think Rahul Gandhi is always skating on thin ice. His claims are often non-corroborated. They are not based on any facts. They're unsubstantiated. And this is yet another example. I think he goes abroad merely to create, not just to demean his country, but also himself, because he becomes a laughing stock. Now he's comparing Muslims of today to Dalits of the 80s, when we all know that it was Indira Gandhi from 80 to 84, and then post that we know what happened in 84, and then Rajiv Gandhi took over. So either he's saying that his government was responsible for the atrocities on the Dalits, just the same way Modi government is. But if you read the history of communal violence, and if you see the records of the last few years, you will realize that this is far from true. Communal rioting has actually reduced, and there are very, very few riots and people killed on the watch of the central government or any other. There are many factors for this: better law and order, better policing, more social media, people being more active. But the fact of the matter is that the rioting that has taken place, whether it's Malyana or Hashimpura or Nelli massacre and what have you, are huge in number. Look at the Sikh riots. So I don't know why Rahul Gandhi does this, but he demeans himself just as much as he denigrates India every time he opens his mouth and goes abroad.
So, Dr. Ajay Kumar, the BJP's contention and the central government's contention is, as per NCRB data, the number of communal incidents has come down quite substantially in the last 9 years. They're also asking for an explanation. What do you mean by minorities today are feeling like what Dalits felt in the 1980s? Because for 9 years out of the 10 in the 80s, the Congress was in power. Either Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister or Rajiv Gandhi was Prime Minister.
So, look, either Shazia and I live in a different planet. If she can come and tell us on the national TV that the minorities or the Dalits are not feeling threatened, and let me substantiate by a very simple method. The American the civil liberties movement got rid of the Jim Crow laws. Is there discrimination? Is there more attacks against the black people? The similar situation. And Zakat, the fact is that, look, institutionalized othering of minority community has never happened. Never happened in independent India. What we saw in the inauguration of the parliament was, I told, there is a WhatsApp photo which is true, which showed Pandit Nehru and all Maulana Azad ji and Sardar Patel, all of them in the photo. And this is the photo where the Prime Minister's coronation with the scepter and all that stuff, which Mr. Gandhi correctly said. Is that the democracy we want to look forward to? And we are upset that Mr. Gandhi went and just showed the mirror there. What about the Prime Minister insulting this whole India by doing the kind of activities he does? He lies down in front, he does this, there is nobody, doesn't call the president, he doesn't call the vice president.
What are you saying? Do you even realize what you're saying?
It makes it into some, one sec, let me, can I complete? Shazia, I didn't interrupt you, so let me complete. Can I, Shazia ji, I don't interrupt, so please don't interrupt me, really request you. Let me complete, thank you. And yeah, thanks Shazia. So my question is very simple. What did Mr. Gandhi say? He said about the government. What is it about attacking the government of India? Is it attacking anybody else? We are attacking the government for his policies. And he correctly said, what did he say? I went on Bharat Jodo Yatra and they tried to stop me. He said that the Prime Minister seems to, if he stands next to God, he can explain, we can explain the universe to him, and correctly so. Because you remember the Prime Minister said that I chose a cloudy day so that the radars cannot detect the aeroplanes. If you remember, the Prime Minister also said to the children of Assam on one of those organized TV show that, oh, climate change is not there. When you're old, you feel cold. So, same thing is people are
No, but Ajay Kumar, let's stick to the issue at hand. Let's stick to the issue at hand. What the BJP's contention is, show us either data which shows communal incidents have gone up, or that BJP is discriminating against Muslims when it comes to welfare schemes and things like that. They're not discriminatory. Is the contention by the BJP government.
First question, data, first of all. Okay, let's go by government. All the minority scholarship schemes have been abandoned. The central government does data. You can Google it. If anybody is on the TV show, you can ask your research guys to do it. That's secondary. What about the systematic othering of Muslim, the lynching of Muslim, the burning of 2 guys in Haryana? the destruction of 300 odd churches in Manipur?
What lynching?
What are we talking? And then you're saying that one sec, the two people who got lynched who were transporting.
Can I come in now? Ajay, may I be allowed to speak?
One sec, Shazia, let me clarify the Mantu Manesar, who you guys are,
Ajay,
made him into some kind of a state.
Ajay, you said a lot of things, and I would like to take them.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Ajay,
yeah, go ahead.
Ajay, let me come in. You said many things.
Go ahead.
Okay, about lynchings. I mean, in this country, and it's sad that something like lynching happens. But it's happening to Dalits. It's happening to an Ankit Tyagi. It's happening to people of all castes and religions. And it's not a great thing. But it's not that it's happening all the time. And you have incidents when this has happened, and they have been punished. The law and order remains a state subject. How can you place the blame on Modi ji's door? So how do you make it about Modi? I don't know. Two, if you see the history of communal violence and the rioting that has taken place, you will realize that rioting has actually come down. I mean, it's amazing that how the numbers have fallen, and whether it's Hindus or Muslims, there has been far more protection by the state. So, and if you have so much of hatred and you're creating this fear, you can say it's a subjective thing. People are living in a state of fear.
So
let me quantify that.
Yeah, let me ask. Let me ask.
40%. Yeah. Last thing. Figures. Last thing. I will not speak after that. The dropout rate, Zaka, for Muslim girls and dropout rate for Muslim girls' education at the primary level and secondary level was 70%. It has actually come down to 30% in the last 9 years, which means 40% more Muslim girls go to schools.
Okay.
If you see the Awas Yojana
fair enough. Let me ask Pawan Verma and Abhijit Majumdar. They've been waiting patiently. One second, Shazia, please. Pawan Verma, the point that Rahul Gandhi made, which the BJP has taken grave exception to, is he has ridiculed this whole new parliament inauguration, the Sengol, and I think the exact words that he used was lying down and all that, almost in a mocking kind of a tone. Is the BJP, does it have a point when it says, what Mr. Modi was trying to do was to give a sort of pride of place, if you will, to the Sengol? Of course, whether it was used as an instrument of transfer of power, the history on that may be disputed. But the fact is that this was a Chola era relic that was given to Pandit Nehru, and it was then consigned to a museum. What Mr. Modi was trying to do was to bring back some kind of a civilizational reconnect to India's historic democratic traditions, using the Sengol as a symbol.
Thank you, Zaka. First, I want to just say, if you'll correct your description, where I'm either described as an author and ex-diplomat, which are both true, but I may not be part of any political party, but I am in politics. I have been a former member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha and a cabinet minister in Bihar, and still very much in mainstream politics, but not part of any political party. Having said that, you see, my issue, if you're asking my views on Parliament, I would say that in a democracy there were 2 or 3 shades of opinion on that decision. There was one view which held that the existing parliament building has been a historical witness to the making of New India and should be retained. The other view was that it should be refurbished, modernized and retained. And a third view was that we shouldn't spend so much money on a new building. Whatever the past, we have a new building. It's a modern building. It's a spacious building. By all accounts, a great deal of thought has gone into the making of the new parliament, representing all parts of India. And I think now that it's been made, we should welcome it. Now, as far as the Sengol and the inauguration is concerned, I have in a column recently written that I would have been happier if the President of India, who heads Parliament under Article 79 of the Constitution, which expressly states that the Parliament consists of the President and the 2 houses of Parliament. If the President of India would have inaugurated the Parliament. I have also said that if the President had done so, we would have had the presence of the Vice President of India who chairs the Rajya Sabha. Be that as it may, that is a question the government took. I differ with it, but I still welcome the new parliament building. Now, as regards the Sengol, you see, being secular does not mean being anti-religion. We have on parliament, in Rashtrapati Bhavan and everywhere in India, the three lions. They belong to the era of Ashok the Great, who was a Buddhist. Our Independence Day speech by any Prime Minister is made from the ramparts of the Red Fort, which was built by Emperor Shah Jahan, who was a Muslim, and within that palace he has a beautiful mosque. So, in that sense, we are not anti-religious, but we have to be equivalent to all faiths. Now, I'm happy that in the inauguration of the new parliament, there was an all-faith prayer meeting. Where the Sengol is concerned, my personal view is that it was the symbol of transfer of power, of a great and highly refined major power in the making of India's civilizational history, the Chola kingdom. It was given, forget the controversy, whether to Mountbatten and then to Jawaharlal Nehru or directly to Jawaharlal Nehru, specially prepared and consecrated to symbolize the transfer of power to the sovereign people of India.
But historians have contested that, Pawan Verma ji, including Rajmohan Gandhi, the grandson of Rajaji. He has contested that. He's saying there's no documentary evidence to back that claim.
Okay, let's accept that it is not fully accepted, but the symbolism of the Sengol is, I think, not in doubt. It symbolizes transfer of power, and we have evidence to believe that it was in the possession of a nation on the eve of its independence, which happens to be 14th August 1947. Now, for whatever reasons, and I don't doubt their bona fides, the Congress did not use it, and it was relegated to relative anonymity in a museum in Allahabad. A new government which built the new parliament has decided to give it its due place in its own wisdom as a representative of a civilizational history, and I think any controversy over it is unnecessary. After all, the parliament consists of many symbols which belong to many faiths. I mean, if you enter parliament, right at the beginning, I remember when I first went into Rajya Sabha, the saying inside is from the Upanishads, Udar Charitanam Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So you have a certain symbolism. The BJP may have used it for political reasons, but it's not entirely out of place or necessarily partisan, because there are many aspects of parliament and which are
so let me also ask Abhijit Majumdar this. Fair enough. No, the Ashok Chakra itself, was a Buddhist symbol that's there on our national flag. It's there in the Parliament building. It's there as part of our official seal and emblems. But let me ask Abhijit Majumdar, the contention that the BJP is saying that Rahul Gandhi goes to foreign soil every time and he criticizes India and he criticizes the government from there. Well, what difference does it make where he's criticizing from? He's an opposition politician. His job is to criticize the government. Whether he does it in New Delhi or whether he does it in San Francisco, how is that a crime?
No, it's not a crime, Zaka, but it's certainly, the times that we live in, the information that we have got on our hands, when people like George Soros openly says that he is waging a war against the current Indian government, and because he thinks that it's autocratic and all that, and he's funding. He announced a $1 billion funding to weaken democracies like this. When the Congress party doesn't divulge, doesn't bring to public sphere the MOU it signed with CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, then it is only fair that there is some kind of transparency who Rahul Gandhi meets, more than the content of his speeches, which is anyway pretty thin, in my opinion. There might be other opinion about it, but who is he meeting? I mean, some of the list that is circulating in public of his itinerary that is circulating in public. There are certain people linked to organizations which are linked to Jamaat, Muslim Brotherhood, and have had a very, very adversarial position on India's on Kashmir to India. My point is, does Rahul Gandhi ever meet a Hindu group when he is abroad? Hindu interest group, does he ever meet? I mean, Alokji, all due respect, he said that, never in his independent India's history has been the othering of Muslims so acute. Now, my point is that there is, does Congress have data to back it? Have lynchings happened only of Muslims by Hindus? There are, there's so many times Hindus have been beheaded. I mean, there have been 6 or 7 beheadings after this Nupur Sharma episode, calling for Sat Tan Se Juda, with those chants on video. Has Rahul Gandhi even once talked about that? The othering of Hindus, on the other hand, has been pretty categorical, clear under Congress. And official, the Prime Minister said that the first right to resources of this nation is of minorities. Why? Where is the right to equality? Are Hindus second-class citizens in the only land that, in which the faith is born, or the philosophy is this thing? Are, the communal, which even Digvijay Singh, as a, surprisingly and exceptionally opposed, that UPA was, about to bring, would have made only Hindus responsible for communal violence, and the perennial victims would be minorities. That is official, certified othering.
Okay. So, Ajay Kumar, respond. I mean, othering can't be just of one community. Abhijit Majumdar's contention is the othering has also happened to the other communities. Yeah, Abhijit, you made your point. Let Dr. Ajay Kumar now respond. Yeah, Ajay Kumar.
First question is, what is this lies on the TV, Mr. Majumdar? 6, 7 beheaded. How many lynched? So let's go on to the data of the lynching data in the past 10 years. First question. So let's have the data. The othering or the other, how many? Once I didn't interrupt you, sir. Please show the dignity to not interrupt me. We have said you don't do the caste census. You don't do the OBC caste census, Dalit census. You are against majority of Hindus, sir. You don't want majority to come because you want to carry on the Govalkar's philosophy. Govalkar and RSS philosophy, so that the Dalits and the scheduled tribes cannot come up? First question. The third question is, Mr. Manmohan Singh said the resources of this country are for all the people of downtrodden women, minority, Dalits and everybody else, and I still believe it, and any affirmative action government will think about it. Fourth issue. The fourth issue, and I'll answer you point by point. You seem to be offended on Communist Party. Chinese have captured the land. They have captured India land. They are under Depsang and everything else, and you don't seem to be offended? When Chinese are taking our land, you don't offended, and then you come and spill some specious facts on the TV? I am offended that the Chinese have taken over our land. Aren't you offended, sir? So that is, you're not offended. And then you come and throw one googly here. 3 things. How many people, no, one sec. How many people does he meet? Are there not Hindus in, and suddenly Hindu groups, Muslim Jamaat, you can say anything? First of all, gentlemen, Please don't spew lies. If you have facts, show me the link to the Jamaat, because I will tell you that whether the BJP is rightly involved in all kinds of anti-national activity. Investigation to Pulwama, you have compromised the integrity of the country. Chinese are inside the country, you don't say a word. And the most important thing is,
I mean, who signed the mysterious MOU with the Communist Party?
One second, let him finish. I'll come to both Shazia and Abhijit to respond, but let Ajay Kumar finish.
Yeah. No. It's secondly because it's important for when guys like Mr. Majumdar come, offended with Chinese party, what is the 3,000 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers, everybody is saying that the Chinese have gotten, no reply at all. Arunachal, they're changing the names. Manipur is burning, no reply at all. And the resources, if you're so clear on the majority of Hindus, you're anti-Hindu for the simple reason, sir, why aren't you doing the caste census?
Okay.
So that the resources the government
you've
resources
made those
can
points.
No, one sec. No, I need to finish. No, one sec. There are three people. One sec, Zaka, I'm a little touch aggrieved because on Sengol, I want to correct my good friend Pawan Verma. Mr. Annodurai, it is not from Chola error. It was made during independence by this temple in Tamil Nadu. It is not handed over from Chola era, first point. Second issue was, it was kept as a golden stick for the simple reason is, Pandit Nehru was a die-hard Democrat. And he didn't believe that it was a handover of power. If you don't understand that, and here is a Prime Minister who is handing over power and you're saying that it is the most dignified action, whether it is Rajmohan Gandhi, and I would recommend everybody to read what Anna Dorai wrote. It is very valuable and even Anna Dorai from Tamil Nadu was offended for Pandit Nehru to even take that. He said, Mr. Nehru has made a mistake. The article is available. But last and most important, how can these guys come on TV and say, spew lies after lies? We are also what is reservation who brought the reservation for the scheduled caste? Is that anti-Hindu? Who is trying to increase the reservation for whether it is the OBC? Is that anti-Hindu when majority are Hindus? So if it is anti-small group of people, you have the right. And please don't come on national TV. No, one sec. Don't come and say Jamaat.
You've spoken quite a bit. Let Abhijit respond. Sir, please. I've given you uninterrupted time.
First question is,
I've given you uninterrupted time.
Come on TV and spew lies.
Abhijit, one point that he's asked for.
And you're not offended by Chinese inside Mr. Majumdar.
One second.
Chinese are 2,000 square kilometers, not offended. Shame on you, sir.
One second. Rahul Gandhi goes abroad. He's free to meet whoever he wants to meet. All this Jamaat and Muslim Brotherhood bit, this is all unverified information, Abhijit.
No, but these are Muslim groups. All I have asked, he's twisting because he's trying to sort of, run around trees and lie, and also he is misinformed. But the point is, I have just asked if he
what is misinformed? Tell me, what am I misinformed?
Muslim group. Is he meeting also Hindu groups? Under whose rule did India lose the maximum amount of land to China? Why does he evade the question, run away when I said,
So now it is okay. So now it is okay. So now it is okay.
One at a time. Dr. Kumar, please. Dr. Kumar, please. Abhijit did not interrupt you. Yeah, Abhijit, make your point, yeah.
Why is he not answering all that?
No.
Calling others liar and all that?
No. One second. The personal attacks aside, and I don't encourage anyone making personal attacks, but the point that, again, Rahul Gandhi, he's giving a speech in Stanford later tonight, early tomorrow morning. It's called Global Equilibrium. He's going to make the same point about the Chinese squatting on Indian land. Abhijit.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Rahul Gandhi is also going to make the same point that he made in Cambridge, that you allowed the Chinese to come in, they're sitting on Indian land. How come that's not a compromise to national security? But he goes abroad and he criticizes the government. That somehow is an affront to India.
First of all, the entire border is nebulous. My point is, entire huge tracts of land has gone to the Chinese under Congress rule. So Congress has no moral stand to now,
So now you can give more, is
to
it?
now manufacture lies
now please
and
give
say
more.
that
If
the
it's not
Congress,
good.
the Chinese have come and
Okay.
occupied land here.
Shazia to respond, and then Pawan Verma also wants to come in.
Where is the proof?
No, I think one second. I think we're moving away. We're moving away. We're moving away from the crux of the debate. One second, please.
Any kind of stories on TV, my friend.
Sir, one second. Shazia, the point again, it comes back to this, that Rahul Gandhi is an opposition politician. He's free to go wherever in the world. He's free to meet whoever he wants to meet. And he is going to criticize the government. That's his job. Why do you expect an opposition leader to sing your praises?
Do you know why I say this? Because Rahul Gandhi, as a senior leader and somebody who is the de facto leader of the Congress party, denigrates India, brings down the institutions and mocks the democracy, asks Europeans, asks Britain and Germany to intervene in Indian matters and disrespect sovereignty. That is very different from criticizing Indian policies. I'll give you two examples. I was listening to Hardeep Puri ji just now, and he said that when he was in the UN as an ambassador, Advani ji, who was not in the part of the ruling party at that point of time, was visiting. And then they asked him to speak, and he spoke. And it was about India, it was not about criticism of the Congress government. Similarly, when Narasimha Rao was there, and they had to have a delegation to the UN, he actually asked Vajpayee ji to lead it, because there are some things that are not done. You do not disrespect Indian sovereignty. You do not beg other countries to intervene in the internal affairs of your country. You do not bring down the institutions that govern your country and that run the country, because that is just, and also you have to be honest. Rahul Gandhi spoke for 43 minutes in the parliament. And what does he say? We're not allowed to speak. What did he say just now? He said democracy is very difficult. It's not working in India. It's in peril. And politics is very difficult. They just won the elections in Karnataka. So I'm just talking about how unsubstantiated they are. I mean, my friend can go on and on, Ajoy-ji, and talk about, but we all know what happened in '62. We all know the Himalayan blunders of Nehruji. Let's not even go there. They're embarrassing. They're embarrassing. So let's not even go there. I'm not even going there. I'm just talking about what Rahul Gandhi said today. That it's difficult to do politics in India. He lied about the fact that he's not allowed to speak in the parliament.
Pawan
so,
Verma,
I mean, I'm just saying, don't tell lies about your own country.
The difficult to do politics in India part, let me ask Pawan Verma this. I think it was in the context of that agencies are being used against the opposition. Therefore, nobody in the opposition wants to speak out against his government strongly, because there is the fear of the agencies. Is there merit in that argument? There was, I think, a report that was put out by one of the papers some months ago about how in the last 9 years, more than 90% of the cases by the Enforcement Directorate, in this case one agency, was against the opposition. When the UPA was in power, I think it was about 50% or 55%. Pawan Verma.
Yeah, Zaka, I want to just quickly, I know the time is short, sum up what I feel when political leaders from different parties go abroad. I've been a diplomat and I am now in politics. I believe in whatever one says abroad about internal issues within the country. We are not a banana republic that we have to conform like the North Koreans do in pure praise. But at the same time, what we say needs to be a little nuanced. Now, I believe Mr. Rahul Gandhi, as an opposition leader, is free to criticize what he thinks is wrong about India abroad. On the other hand, he must preface everything he says by the one pivotal sentence that we are capable within India of solving our own problems. Otherwise, the impression becomes that he is more or less appealing to a foreign audience to help or intervene in what is happening in India, which is not the case, and I'm sure it was not his intention either.
No, so the Congress's contention, I just want to underline this.
Thirdly,
just give me one second, just 10 seconds.
Sum up, just
on that bit that you said, the Congress has clarified after his last speech, I think it was in Cambridge, the Congress is saying that if you listen to the entire speech, nowhere is he calling for intervention by the European countries or by the United States. That's their contention, but go on, please, yeah. Pawan Verma.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe it was not his intention. Maybe it was about misinterpretation, but that is an area one should not even go close to. Thirdly, I want to say that when you are speaking abroad, there has to be, apart from the criticism of the current regime in the country, which may have very valid points, and one of them certainly is valid, whatever my good friend Shazia says, that there is a level of othering in this country which has never happened in the past. There is serious social disharmony and there is the potential of great endemic instability by the growing Hindu-Muslim divide. But that being as it may, I would like Mr. Rahul Gandhi to speak more about what is the Congress party's agenda. What does it stand for? The values it represents? What are the changes it would like to bring to India? What is the content of their program? Perhaps in doing that, they'll be able to make a better and more constructive critique of what they think is going wrong in India than merely in a unidimensional way going abroad and criticizing the current government.
Okay.
So I would submit to Ajoy, also a good friend, that you must speak about your own agenda. It cannot be only about anti-Modi.
Okay. Ajay Kumar, one is this anti-Modi thing. What are you offering? What is the alternative that you're offering? That is a valid question. But I also want to ask, when the people of India are watching this, and you can ridicule the Sengol ceremony and the religious nature of it, so on and so forth. But when the people are watching this, one of the things that the BJP says is that, look, we are only giving a place of respect to something that we believe should have been done 75 years ago. Instead, it was confined to a museum and described as a golden walking stick presented to Pandit Nehru.
First of all, so clarification, it was not, it's a golden stick. People are spreading canards and untruth as far as the Anand Bhavan goes. In fact, Mr. Pandit Nehru gave his whole property to the nation, but secondary. We are offended because of the function. You're not offended by the wrestlers who have been the women who won the gold medals for this country being hammered and dragged. So where is this offense? I'm offended by this discussion. That you are not offended by farmers being beaten up. You're not offended by the Dalits
yesterday at 9 p.m. I did the whole wrestlers show.
People being, one sec.
One of your colleagues was on the show. Yesterday at 9 p.m. we did wrestlers.
I'm with you. Zaka, I'll just complete. Okay. So, what I'm saying is, what should we be offended? Offended is when a guy like Brij Bhushan Singh sits in the parliament. Sengol is okay, but Brij Bhushan Singh can sit a POSCO accused. That doesn't offend us. Where is this country going? Tell me something when every foreign institution is bad, they will say, we want prime minister goes all over the world. He says, मुझे शर्म आती थी जब मैं बात, can I complete it, Shazi? I didn't interrupt. मुझे शर्म आती थी कि आपको शर्म आता था कि जगह अगर आप बोलते कि आप इंडिया से हो, ये जब बोलते विदेश में तो सब चंगासी. So my question is very simple, sir. The question is, every institution across from different independent, pure research, everybody else is saying that the democracy is under threat. It is not from Mr. When they're speaking, it is okay. When Rahul Gandhi speak in India, are you listening to him? Are you listening to the opposition? Are you listening to the people? And you're saying, I'm offended because he went abroad. Bharat mein nahi sunoge, Videsh mein jab hum bolte to aap chid jate ho. What is the option? You don't listen to people in India. You don't let us speak abroad.
Abhijit, respond. I think one of the things that the opposition is also saying on the same day, almost at the same time, that the parliament inauguration was happening, Delhi police was dragging away Indian women Olympian wrestlers who've been sitting on a protest, not for their own selfish interest or anything. They're sitting there because they want this man who they believe is a sexual offender to be arrested. Abhijit.
So, that's an entirely different issue and all sorts of things are coming out now, Zaka, from there. I mean, the panel, the inquiry committee that was set up with Maricom as head, they found that all the allegations, one in Turkey, one in Mongolia, I believe, that Brij Bhushan had molested somebody. It turned out that his passport is not even stamped for those countries. He never went. Second is they, for a long time they refused to file an FIR. Then now the POXO case, the girl, apparently a minor. it's coming, now there are reports that she has 2 birth certificates 2 years apart, one of 2004, one of 2006. Now the point is, Delhi police has filed an FIR. The Supreme Court has taken up the case. Now what is happening? I mean, let the court decide. This is, why is there such a brouhaha over this?
Okay. No, the brouhaha happens to be because A, these are grave allegations against a person who is in a position of power.
Grave allegations, I can't say that I am a celebrity.
Grave allegations against a person.
Whatever I am saying is golden.
Nobody's saying that. It is, you know, Abhijit, especially in the last few years, the ground has shifted when it comes to grave allegations of sexual assault and sexual harassment against women, and especially against a person who is in a position of power, and he continues to be in that position of power. But anyway, Shazia, last word. I've got to wrap up in a minute.
Yes. This is a country where Ajmal Kasab, the worst perpetrator of terror against India, and the symbol of that, was given a hearing. There is an inquiry in place. There are FIRs that are done. And I'm sure if something comes, something is true about the wrongdoing, he'll be punished. Okay. But I don't know why we can't have faith in that. And to use that opportunity to the parliament and besmirch it with this other protest that is happening, and to equate the two is not fair. I'm all for women, and I'm all for the fact that no woman should have to say that and have to protest against sexual harassment. But let there be an inquiry. Okay. This is, after all, rule of law. Whether it's an elected member or not doesn't matter. It can be anybody.
All right, 10 seconds. I got to wrap up. I'm completely out of time. Ajay Kumar, 10 seconds. Not more than
you just keep going from one goalpost to the other.
Okay.
Esteemed panelists, Shazia is a lady. No, one sec. Shazia is a lady. Not a single person has spoken.
I know,
Mr. Abhijit says they
had
to go to Supreme Court, sir. They had to go to Supreme Court to get an FIR registered. So please don't come on national TV and tell us stories like this.
And they did.
The Supreme Court ordered the Delhi police. They were not registering an FIR.
I'm out of time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm completely out of time. Shazia Ilmi, Dr. Ajay Kumar, Abhijit Majumdar and Pawan Verma. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to shift focus now here on the program. Of course, like I said, Rahul Gandhi's program in the United States continues for another few more days. We will be on top of the stories as they emerge from there and whatever comments he makes in the response here from the government. Meanwhile, shifting focus as the Modi government completes 9 years. One area where the government claims it has made a visible difference is in the field of national security. In Kashmir, Article 370 has been abrogated. Kashmir also recently very successfully hosted a G20 meeting. The government has from time to time cited statistics in Parliament about the number of terror incidents coming down in the valley. Whether it is the surgical strikes, the Balakot airstrikes, Pakistan has been made to pay a price for sponsoring terrorism. But the relationship with either Pakistan or China, for that matter, is far from normal. In a moment, I'll be speaking with Dr. Jitendra Singh, who's the MOS in the Prime Minister's office. But first, the story of how the national security picture has changed in the last 9 years.
सौगंध मुझे इस मिट्टी की, मैं देश नहीं मिटने दूंगा, मैं देश नहीं रुकने दूंगा, मैं देश नहीं झुकने दूंगा.
The Modi-led government has made nationalism a theme of its governance, even at the risk of being labelled hyper-nationalistic by its rivals. But the centre's resolve against enemies outside our borders and inside has translated into action on the ground. Since the Modi government took over in 2014, there has been a 79% dip in terror killings, 52% dip in terror incidents until 2022, a 69% jump in increase of terrorists killed in Jammu and Kashmir so far, and a 61% drop in Maoist or Red Terror. India has minced no words in calling out Pakistan at every world forum, exposing their support to terror groups flourishing on their soil.
Bottom line on this issue is that it is for us very difficult to engage with a neighbor who practices cross-border terrorism against us. We have always said that they have to deliver on their commitment not to encourage, sponsor and carry out cross-border terrorism.
From Uri in 2016 to Balakot in 2019 and Galwan in 2020. Under Prime Minister Modi, India isn't afraid of standing up to any bully at any border. Both on the eastern and the western frontier, our forces have pushed the enemy back consistently. The nation has been secured not just from physical threats but also virtual. Hundreds of Chinese apps have been banned in India already, apps that threaten to bring our data under Chinese surveillance. Even big tech such as Google, Meta and Twitter have been forced to comply with the law of the land. India is leading from the front at world fora, assured that the country is secure and safe, not just with a robust policy, but also with a strong determination.
All right, joining me now is MOS, PMO and Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh. Thank you very much, Dr. Singh, for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. 9 years of Mr. Modi's government. We just ran a package on national security and how that paradigm has seemingly changed. What has been your assessment of this journey so far, particularly when it comes to national security? What, in your mind, have been the top two or three things that the Modi Sarkar has done, which you believe has not been done in the last 75 years?
Today, the esteem of an Indian or even his self-esteem is at a very high level. An Indian is proud of being an Indian, whether he's living within the country or he's outside the country as a diaspora. And I think the single most important factor which has contributed to this is the personal outreach of Prime Minister Modi and the manner he's been able to successfully transform the entire perception through a very hard work and through a number of path-breaking reforms. Today, Prime Minister Modi stands as the world's tallest leader, and the world looks up to India to be led by it, to take cues from what India is doing under Prime Minister Modi. I think one of the most distinguished examples is that of COVID. Now, for example, during the COVID times, the entire world was looking up to India with a huge degree of apprehension, and India was being, seen as with a lot of contempt, as if this was a hot spot, a country of 130, 140 crore people, always not very appreciably able to manage its population, and everybody assumed that we would not be able to manage ourselves during the COVID pandemic, and we would become actually a nuisance for the other countries. But it's the other way around. We've seen how European countries with just 500,000 population could not contain themselves, whereas it was India under Prime Minister Modi, which not only managed to contain COVID, but also came up with the first ever DNA vaccine and provided it to the other countries of the world, to the rest of the world. And this was happening from a country which was, till a decade or so ago, not very distinguishedly known as a country, or as a society which had much of an aptitude for preventive health care. Even healthcare did not receive much precedence either at the level of the society or the level of the policy planners. So the entire scenario is changed.
Okay.
The startup, for example, now nobody had heard what it was all about till Prime Minister spoke from the ramparts of the Red Fort and said, "Start up India, stand up India." Even that day I know how many people had heard of it. Today from 350 we've jumped to 1 lakh, and each of the startup groups is employing another thousands and thousands. And in the world ecosystem, we are number 3 as far as startups goes. In Global Innovation Index, we have jumped 41 places, from 81 to 40. I can go on and on to narrate figures, to cite comparison, because comparison is important.
One of the things that you had not mentioned, of course, and I'm asking you this because you come from there, you come from Jammu and Kashmir, is the abrogation of Article 370. You were also recently in Kashmir inaugurating that G20 meeting, which successfully concluded. And at that meeting, at that address, you commented about how earlier, when there were big meetings in Srinagar, there used to be boycott calls from across the border, and some people in the valley also would listen to those boycott calls. None of that happened this time around. The government says that there is data to show that the number of terror incidents in the valley has come down, and yet, by no stretch, would the relationship with either Pakistan or, for that matter, China be characterized as normal. So what would you attribute to this change of ground situation in Kashmir?
No, I think that's because Prime Minister Modi has, you see, right from the beginning, he gave us two broad mantras. One was zero tolerance towards corruption, other was zero tolerance towards terrorism. And in the context of the sensitive areas like Jammu and Kashmir, when these two mantras were applied in letter and spirit with all the sincerity, particularly in the last 3 years or 4 years, you've seen the results happening. It was because of terrorism not being handled in the manner it should have, because with one step forward, two step backward approach by the then political leadership, which was looking, which always had a vote back on the back of its mind. But on the contrary, Prime Minister Modi felt the pulse of the people of Kashmir, where the people of Kashmir are highly aspirational. The people of the common man walking the streets of Srinagar wants to move on. The youth of Kashmir is not only aspirational, he is very well awakened, he is very well informed, he has had a rich legacy of making a distinguished contribution to India's civil services and all the other leading areas, and that milieu was not being provided to him because of a wheel of fear, militancy. And once that is gone, you see how this year we had nearly 1.6 or 1.7 crore tourists in Kashmir Valley. So this means the change was waiting to happen, but those at the helm either did not have the vision to carry it forward, or they had some other vested interest because they flourished in that mayhem of terrorism. So there was a group or nexus which had flourished, whether it was the polity, whether it is the trade, whether it is the industry, and the ruling dispensations, generation after generation, flourishing under the shadow of terrorism, where voting percentage would be just 10%, 12%, and they would get elected as members of parliament and members of the legislative assembly, and then go on to become chief minister and ministers from generation to generation. So all that is over now.
One criticism though, Dr. Singh, and this is my final question, that the opposition constantly raises against Mr. Modi's government is on two issues. Number one, price rise, the other, unemployment. They're saying that on both of these issues, the Modi government has not done a good job, that people are hurting. And also they've criticized the recent inauguration of the new parliament, saying that, you know, opposition leaders were not invited, the president was not invited. India is slipping away from being a democracy to some kind of electoral autocracy. How would you respond to that criticism?
No, I think these kind of accusations hardly need to be responded to, because it's opposition. It has to oppose. You cannot ask the Congress to come and pat my back and say, very well done. Otherwise, what would they contest election for? And when they say autocracy, the whole, you know why Prime Minister Modi is being looked up to by the rest of the world? Because he has been decisively elected by 140 crore people of this country. Is that autocracy? For the first time, we have a stable government. That's why the world is looking up to us. India has become a favorite destination for investment, for business, for negotiation, for diplomacy, because they see a democratically elected stable government, which is rare. We have had stable governments lasting for decades together. It could be a Marxist government, it could be a communist government, a fascist government, dictatorships, but never here. And have you seen consistently someone continuing as head of state for more than 2 decades, for 23 years? None of the prime ministers in the past have. Even Mrs. Gandhi gave up after a decade. So here we have a head of state who's been popularly elected again and again, and he has defied the principle of diminishing returns. On the contrary, with each successive election, he gets higher mandate.
Okay.
So where is the autocracy? I think it's the democracy in the best form. And then you are just now talking about Jammu and Kashmir. I think that's the best example of democracy being actually followed in letter and spirit is Prime Minister Modi, who introduced grassroots democracy at the level of district development councils.
Okay.
I am sure someday the historians will ask why Jammu and Kashmir, unlike other states and union territories, had to wait for 70 long years to have a district elected district council. And mind you, it was those parties which are talking of autonomy, which are talking of self-rule. Now to you and me, simple definition of democracy would be the self-rule is the rule of the self.
All right. Dr. Jitendra Singh, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays out, particularly in the run-up to 2024. Thank you very much for joining us in the meanwhile and speaking to CNN News 18. That's a wrap. I'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time. Good night. Congress has taken huge lead. Just compare this to 2018. This is 2023 right now. 2018, look at the sea of saffron here. It was BJP 34 out of 56, the Congress only 19. But this time around in Karnataka, it's almost the opposite story.
The counting has begun. We have got the first call. First one we are getting from Bellary City, constituency number 94, Zaka.
The Reddy brothers, Somshekhar Reddy of the BJP is fighting. His brother Gali Janardhan Reddy has formed his own party.
Assembly constituency has around 1.5 to 2 lakh voters. Which means even if it is a voting percentage of 70 or 65, still it's a substantial number of votes which is yet to be counted.
Look at some of these rebels, some of them are winning. For example, Lakshman Sawadi has won. And Jagdish Shettar was a former chief minister, 6-time sitting MLA from Hubli Dharwar Central. He's not winning.
Congress has sent out the news, ladies and gentlemen, an update. The Congress has asked all its candidates to come to Bengaluru.
In India, and he has said that this is felt more strongly by the Muslim community, but it's also felt by other minority communities. Let's listen in to what Rahul Gandhi said.
This happens periodically in India. What is happening, for example, to the Muslim community in India today happened to the Dalit community in the 80s. If you went to UP in the 80s, the Dalit community, what is happening with the Muslims was happening with the Dalits there. So periodically this type of stuff happens and we have to challenge it, we have to fight it, and we have to fight it with affection.
Our senior editor Pallavi Ghosh is joining us. Pallavi, so Rahul Gandhi has yet again targeted the central government, saying that the minorities are under attack in India and they are being treated the same way as Dalits were being treated in Uttar Pradesh in the 80s.
And it's become a pattern whenever Rahul Gandhi goes abroad, and the whole idea of these interactions is essentially to make the point that all is not well in our country. Whether he went to UK earlier, whether he went to in the next couple of meetings, and there's some big bag ones lined up in Washington, New York, San Francisco, he's going to be making the same point, and he's going to keep the focus on the Bharat Jodo Yatra. In fact, he began his speech today by mentioning the fact that despite all kind of pressures coming in from the agencies and an attempt being made by the BJP plus the RSS to silence the people, he was undaunted. And of course, the whole issue about it being a selective democracy. There's an attempt, and he used these words, and he's likely to use these words also, that how the minority community, a specific community, are always targeted, and there's no place for them in our country because this government does not care for them. All the government cares for is the particular religion, which is the Hindus, and therefore they're very selective in the kind of patronage or the kind of support that they give. This, of course, is expected and likely to blow up into yet another controversy, as usually Rahul Gandhi's foreign trips are, where the BJP is going to completely reject it. But I think this is the line which has been taken now by the Congress party for 2024 and also the upcoming state elections, that a vote for the BJP means a vote for a divisive country.
Right, Pallavi, please stay with us. We'll once again listen in to what Rahul Gandhi said about the minority communities in India.
Nafrat ke bazaar mein mohabbat ki dukaan. That is the best way I can say it, which is that it is felt most strongly by the Muslim community, okay, because it is done most directly to them. But in fact, it is being done to all minorities. I can guarantee you that the same way you are feeling attacked, I can guarantee you my Sikh brothers are feeling the same